Good evening. Welcome to Choices Podcast. You can find us at choicespodcastofficial.com. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Facebook group, on the Choices group. During the show, you can ask questions by commenting in the Facebook group. We are all about choices, good choices in your personal, business, and relationship part of your life. Tonight's show is we are going to discuss success. When are you successful? How do you know when you're successful? How do you get there? And you know our co-host Denny Brewer, the Reverend,
Hey,
and
hey.
Carcass John. We got Carcass John rolling on the lyrics tonight for a song which we do before every show. Carcass, do you have a good Thanksgiving?
I had a great Thanksgiving, and I always enjoy just. I think it might be my favorite time of year. Family, friends, football, friendshipping, and food, of course. And it's a good kickoff to a nice start to the season.
It is. We had over a wonderful friend of mine, Scott Tixier. He's like the number two violinist in the world. And his girlfriend, his name is Shelley. She's an actress and model. And it just so happened they were staying across the street, house sitting. And he texted me and said, "Hey, are you there?" I said, "Of course." This was Thanksgiving. I said, "Come over for Thanksgiving." It was their first one. It was so fun to be part of somebody's first Thanksgiving, you know?
Nice.
It was a good day. My girls were here. We had a good time. Good stuff. How about you, Reverend? Do you have a good Thanksgiving?
Had a great Thanksgiving. I'm like Carcass. It's my favorite time of the year. And to me, it's like Christmas without all the hustle and bustle.
Yeah, you don't have to buy gifts, you know,
Yeah.
just show gratitude. Just
And it's all my
nice
favorite
time.
food, guys. I'll confess to you. I mean, I have to really watch it.
Well, I'll tell
Can't
you right
eat it.
now, turkey's one of my favorite meats, and I don't know why we don't eat it more often. I guess it's because it's a little more time consuming to prepare
Yeah.
and not as readily available. But cornbread stuffing with a little jalapeno relish in it and mashed potatoes, and oh my gosh, are you
I'm
kidding me?
talking now.
I'd weigh 400 pounds.
It's 7 pieces of pecan pie.
Yes.
Yeah. Throwing a little chocolate meringue pie.
Oh my gosh, that's good.
How about some pecan pie?
Yeah, that's
Pumpkin
good.
pie. Mashed potatoes.
Gravy.
I started keto on Monday, so please stop right now.
One more candy yams. Sorry.
That's good, man. So, Carcass, what's the lyric? What's the song tonight?
Well, since we're talking about success, I thought it's pretty obvious. How about "We Are the Champions" by Queen?
Queen. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It starts off, it says, "I've paid my dues time after time. I've done my sentence, but committed no crime." Thought that was a good play on words. Um, and made and bad mistakes. I've committed no crime and bad mistakes. I've made a few. I've had my share of sand kicked to my face, but I've come through. And then it goes into that soaring chorus that we all familiar with, and we mean to go on and on and on. Then it says, "We are the champions, my friends, and we'll keep on fighting till the end. We are the champions. We're the champions. No time for losers, because we are the champions." And then it goes on to say, "I've taken my bows and my curtain calls. You brought me fame and fortune and everything that goes with it. I thank you all. But it's been no bed of roses, no pleasure cruise. I consider it a challenge before the human race, and I ain't gonna lose." So
Ooh.
I think something that we often overlook with success is, how do we handle success? So I know we're going to define it tonight in kind of, what is our core definition of success, but I think some people don't handle it very well, and maybe we can get into that at another show. But anyway, I just thought that was pretty poignant and on the mark as far as the subject that we're talking about tonight.
Good Carcass.
So I pulled this up. Can you guys see this?
Yeah.
It says success, hard work, persistence, late nights, rejections, sacrifices, discipline, criticism, doubts, failure, risk. I mean, that sums it up. Uh, Success is not a gift. You guys agree to that?
Absolutely.
Well, it's certainly not a right. We have to earn it.
Yeah, you have to earn success. That's interesting.
Well, and I was going to say too, I think a lot of people have the misconception that successful people never fail. But I know lots of people that have, you know, tried over and over again to make something work until it finally works. And those are the people, to me, that's true success. Someone who keeps trying until they achieve their goal. And you may fail. You may fail a couple of times, maybe more than a couple. Kind of like the song mentions.
Well, I'm going to ask you the magical question. Is
Ask it.
success determined by making money?
I just had this discussion with one of the kids. I think that we oftentimes put too much of a monetary cap on those things or a definition on those things. And I don't think that that's the mark of success. I know lots of rich, and you know this as well as I do, Brett, in your field, and you probably too, Denny, that there are a lot of rich people out there that have a lot of problems, maybe more than just a regular Joe on the street.
Hey, Reverend, will you back me up when I say this?
I bet I will.
The richer people are, the crazier they are. And you've represented rich people in the past.
Yeah.
The more money they got, the more problems they got. You agree with that?
Yeah, I do. You know, I think about Deion Sanders. I think I can safely say this because he's said this publicly. I heard him talking about it just recently. Regardless of whether you like him or not, he's kind of a controversial figure, isn't he? I mean, some people love him, some people don't. But I think he's a living example of someone that would tell us that, hey, I had it all. I had the money, had the fame, had the fortune. You know, he was doing something that most guys dream about doing. I mean, not in just one sport, but in two sports, right? And all of the pleasures of life, you know, right before him, just had to kind of reach out and take whatever. Yet he was prepared to kill himself right in the middle of all of that. And I think he would tell us that all of those things don't lead to success.
I agree with that. You know, and you bring up Dion. I've represented so many. We were talking about this today, Sank and I. I've represented so many athletes, and I get so frustrated with the way the whole system works for athletes.
Yeah.
Because they get scholarships, they go to college, they give them tutors, they don't go to class, and then they go to the NFL and they can't read or write. That pisses me off. Pardon my language, but it does. I even called a college, my college, Texas Tech, on a guy. You guys need to feel guilty. This guy can't read or write. You know, he can't sign his damn name without DocuSign. And I hate that. So I guarantee you that's 40% of the athletes, professional athletes.
Yeah, and we helped create that monster.
Yeah.
You know, it's tough. I really admire the men that and the women who can rise above that and live a successful life. What, you know, I think we're ultimately going to define as success, which is nothing we've talked about so far, really, right? Other than that list, Brett, that you brought up.
Yeah.
But I think it's a lot tougher. And I've had the opportunity to work with a number of athletes as well in the law practice, and I would just never, down at the courthouse, and you have people coming up asking for autographs. I've had 2 cases where I had the judge slip me a note and ask me for an autographed football, in the middle of the case. So it's
I gave a judge one of my clients' helmets autographed because it was a
I
walking
get it,
case.
but yeah, I mean, and a lot of these guys, again, I don't want to cast any aspersions unnecessarily, but they don't have to buy a dinner or drink or anything else when they go out in public, for the most part. And we just take that a little too far. But I think it's a hard thing to handle. And it goes back to what you said, Brett. I think, hey, money can bring a lot of fun, in life and security. I mean, as they say, right? It's not it's not money that's the problem. It's the love of money.
Yeah.
But so,
Amen to that.
Yeah,
it's the love of money.
Hey,
I agree.
I want to make money. I want to have nice things, but that can't be the ultimate goal.
What is the ultimate goal?
Well, let me tell you something, Brett, on that, segueing on that very statement. Somebody, my kid's mother asked me one time, being around, when I had my own business, I had a high level of clientele. I had, well, quite frankly, people that lived in houses like yours, Brett. And you know what? She asked me, she said, doesn't that mess with your head? And I said, you know what messes with my head? If there weren't people like that were willing to spend some money with me so I could feed my family. That's what messes with my head. The fact that someone had means, and I once again, my roster of landscape clients was an all-star roster, athletes, actors, hip hop guys, music people, and I was glad that they were succeeding. I'm glad that they had some modicum of success, whether it be a high level or a low level, and I treated them like a regular human being. I didn't certainly put them on a pedestal. There are those that you have to treat in a different light because of their status, and you obviously don't want to wreck their privacy or what have you. But I can think of a multitude of people and conversations where we were just friends. In fact, they would call me asking for advice. Here's a guy that makes $28 million a year as a baseball player, and he's calling me for advice. So, money doesn't necessarily define us as being successful, but I was glad that there were people that had far exceeded my monetary success. And there were times where I've made a ton of money, but I sacrificed at what level did I sacrifice? A lot.
I think Reverend really put the nail on the head, and I think you followed up real well, Carcass. It's the love of money.
Yeah.
The love where people just love it, and they'll run over, they'll retrade, they'll sell their soul, they'll go to strip joints, they'll do whatever it takes to get ahead, and that's not successful. I don't care if you got money.
My dad would call those body walkers. They'll walk on any body to get where they want to go.
Yeah, I call them people eaters. They just eat you up. They eat you up, man. They spit you out. I want all them out of my life.
Okay, guys, you've heard this, that you're not ready to live until you're ready to die, right?
Yeah.
I think we could modify that a bit and say you're not ready to live successfully until you're ready to die successfully. And to elaborate on that,
yes, elaborate.
Okay.
Preach, Reverend, preach.
Okay. Again,
preach, Reverend, preach.
You know a sermon's coming.
Yeah.
But see, I believe strongly that unless you've made Christ the Lord of your life, that you're really never going to have success in the truest sense. And then even beyond that, putting yourself under his authority And I really think the closer that our life paths take the closer our life paths get to the perfect plan that Christ has for us in our lives, then we approach absolute success. But I really think that if you don't have Christ in your life, then you're really never going to be able to achieve the kind of success that we're talking about here.
I got a friend, Dan Roby. He's a guy who runs Austin Street. He's a champion. He is successful. He runs a very well organized shelter.
And let me just interject something. I just heard a stat that Dallas is one of the only major cities in the United States that hasn't had an increase in homelessness. And I think Austin Street is one of the reasons why.
Yeah.
They run a tight ship over there. They're well funded. And so
they're organized. They got a whole line set up.
And the money that we talk about people earning or what have you goes to the right in the right direction.
Yeah, you're right.
It's not frivolous. It's not like I hate to drop a name, but Goodwill, where the CEO makes $19 million a year and his employees make basic standard wage and off our donations.
Austin Street's a successful business too. You're right.
Sure,
it's well funded. It's got good people. I went into a board meeting there one time, and it was before they built the new facility, and I was in there, and I was with Norm Hitchkiss and some other people, and all the people that were in the facility started clapping outside for us. It was the most genuine thank you for helping us I'd ever felt in my life. The people there are grateful that they're there. And the other thing that's good about Austin Street, the reason it's so successful.
How's that?
And this is another thing. The love of money hurts. The love of money hurts. That's number one failure thing we got. Number two, you don't follow the rules. Austin Street makes you follow the rules. No drugs. You got to work toward a job, get a job. They're going to help you get an apartment. So, there's levels of advancement.
But they're earning it.
They're earning it.
Yeah.
And you have to follow. If you don't follow the rules, you're back out on the street.
There's
That's the reason they tell you don't give money to somebody on the corner, because the person on the corner can't follow the rules, because there's plenty of help for them.
That's good to know. I always feel a little guilty, I will tell you.
They don't. I don't.
When I pass, I know I shouldn't, but
no, they're not. They can't follow the rules.
You should feel compassion.
That's good to know.
You should feel compassion, but guilty.
Yeah. No.
And that's not to say that you shouldn't. If you feel it right here, sometimes the Spirit will tell us, that little small voice will say, you know what? You need to turn back around and help that person out. However,
listen, there was this guy that used to stand on the corner of Oak Lawn and 35. Dude, he'd see me coming and I'd give him money. I said, hey, I tell you what I want to do. I want to help you get a job. Meet me at my office, and I'm going to help you get a job because you're good at this, get money out of people. He said, man, are you crazy? Do you know how much money I make here at this street corner?
No.
I said, no. He goes, yeah, hell yeah. I got my own apartment. I got my phone. I got my bills paid. No, I don't need another job. I'm good at this. It's, it's sort of funny, but
the thing that I think I struggle with is like I just naturally like to, and I'm not bragging on myself, but it just kind of comes natural to me to engage with people. And so like if I'm stopped there, I'm not going to look at the guy. It's usually the guy, right?
Yeah.
And I feel bad. I feel uncomfortable not doing that. Like I'm just like, hey, I don't even acknowledge you as being a human being.
Well,
But
this
if
day
I
and
get it,
time,
the minute I roll
yeah.
my window down and give him some money, I've not helped him. I've probably hurt him.
I was in London. Listen to this show. This story. I was in London. My girls really love it over there. And when they were studying abroad, of course, thinking I went over there. We're in London. We're at a nice restaurant, and there's this there's this lady that kept sticking her head through the bushes. We were eating outside, like, give me some money. And so I reached in my pocket. I gave her $1, right? She got so mad at me, she ripped it up in my face. I was like, I can't win for losing. My kids were laughing. Oh my God. But I say that there's a way that we can fight homelessness, and there's a way that we can teach people to be successful if we follow the rules. So, number one, we got you can't be in love with money, right?
Yeah.
Number two, we got follow the rules.
Yeah.
There's a lot of successful rich guys here in town that don't follow the rules. It's a game, and there'll be people eaters.
Yeah.
Don't be a people eater either. That's number three.
Hey, and Brett, not to confuse, but don't you think too, like there's different uses for that term success? I mean, and I could say, and I may have sounded a little pious earlier, but I mean, I definitely believe what I said very much. But I can see someone that maybe they, on a spiritual level, it's non-existent. But I could say, well, they're successful in a lot of ways. So what do I mean by successful? Well, I mean they have provided. They've been financially successful, and maybe they've done some really good things. So I just throw that out, not to confuse, but I do think there are different definitions that are different usages of that term. That
I
makes sense.
think I like it when you said in order to be happy, you have to be ready to die. I think it's a big test on
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of a hard thing to get your arms around too. I mean, for
yeah,
me,
it's hard to get, yeah,
but
but
yeah,
it, I always tell, I had lunch with a judge last week that we know, and he's fighting cancer.
hmm,
And he's like, I said, look, I'm way okay. He looked at me like I was crazy. I said, dude, I'm on borrowed time. My brother died at 50, and my mom died young. And I made a deal with the good Lord that don't take my wife from my kids when she had breast cancer. You can take me anytime you want me. And I live that to this day. And I'm burn me up, throw me in some bushes. I'm fine. Good Lord, I'm gonna be flying around bugging all you guys. It's like, I don't know if that's success. I think it is. I think it's successful thinking.
Well,
Not,
there's a song that says, if you don't live for something, you'll die for nothing. And I
yeah,
think that's the approach that we need to take to life. I mean, what have we done? What's our legacy? What's going to be written on our tombstone? Like we discussed the last time we had an episode, and and as I was asking the family, what's your definition of success? No one said anything about money. They said peace of mind and happiness.
yeah,
yeah,
that's so good. You know what else? So I think this would be number 4. I think you're successful if you're kind and joyful to people.
yeah, oh yeah,
If
I
you live
agree.
if you live a peaceful life.
Yeah,
That means you don't scream it, at your wife doesn't scream at you, and that you live on the mature side of your brain a majority of the time, I think that's success.
No, I agree.
Peace of
Yep.
mind.
Yeah, peace of mind. A successful mind is a peaceful mind. How you like that?
Sure. There you go. Put it
Hey,
on a t-shirt.
I would add
Yeah.
this too: be engaged, engage with people in your life. Um,
God, that's a
you know,
big
we
one.
weren't meant to live
By yourself.
by ourselves. No, we weren't.
Yeah, we weren't. And that's interesting you say that. Because this is a good question. When are you successful enough to not work anymore?
Yeah, Brett, I have a thought on that too. Later in life now, I would say that retirement is overrated,
Yeah.
and then I really do think that we're made to work. Now, maybe not, at the same level
Yeah.
as a 20-year-old, but I do
Or
think,
20 or 27 or 30-year-old when we were staying at the office all night long,
yeah, exactly.
That's not healthy.
I've
It's
talked
interesting
to
because
so
like
many people.
Carcass is going to start doing something different than what he's doing, but that's not retiring. That's like doing something different than what you're doing.
Sure. I mean, I think too often we equate retirement with sitting around the house watching reruns on
Yeah.
TV and eating TV dinners. No, that's not me. I'm finally arriving to a point where I think I can financially do what I want because I love it, not because I have to go work and put food on
Yeah.
the table.
Yeah, that's good.
So
That's good. I reached out to one of my friends the other day that, we're doing that 3 or whatever, texting people you haven't talked to in a long time. And he called me back, and his name is Rick Klein. Have you ever known Rick Klein?
That name sounds
He's,
familiar.
God bless, he sold more Porsches in Dallas. He was called Mr. Porsche than all the other Porsche dealerships in the United States together. That's how many he sold every year. He was at remember LA Fitness when we had the TV guide? He was the dude that wore the bathing suit inside that picture. So I walked in a car dealership one time looking for him. I said, "Hey, is the guy that was wearing the bathing suit and the TV guide work here?" It's too much fun. He was so successful that he's retired. He's not retired. He told me he's working out every day. He feels better than he's ever felt. But it was good to catch up with him. And I've got a lot of my friends in South Lake that I went to school with that they work out. They enjoy each other's presence. They stay involved with each other. They do things that they want to do. That's cool. That's not retiring. That's enjoying life.
Right.
Agree or not agree?
I
Yeah.
totally agree.
Yeah, I
And I
agree.
look forward to it. I've been in the grind for 43 years. Actually longer than that because I had my first job when I was 13 and I'm not even close to 13 anymore. But I think that you get to a point where you have to. It's not that I don't enjoy work, but it is a grind. And I think if I have things that I can do outside of that, that'll make me happy. That I better start doing them because I'm on the back side of the. I'm on the back nine. I'm not on the front. I'm not on the practice range and haven't started the round yet.
Well, see,
I'm
the
I'm there
Reverend and I are a little bit different place because we work. Practicing law is a little bit different because you work all those years to get up where we are right now, right, Reverend?
That's right.
You got to enjoy the ride that we have right now because it's sort of fun
Yeah.
and we're helping people.
And I think of some lawyers that I highly respect, some really successful ones, and their whole life is the practice of law. And I think, you can do that with any vocation, but, and that's not necessarily a great place to be.
No, it's not. My mentor, one of my mentors, you know who I'm talking about. God Almighty, we wore suits on Saturday.
Yeah.
If a storm was coming in, he'd rent out the whole floor of the Bradford Hotel. We ain't going anywhere. We're going to try this case. We're going to. Oh my God.
Yeah. And that's when I mean, with all due respect, your identity is just totally wrapped up with, that job.
Yeah.
And I get that. I mean, I think, you almost have to fight against that. Hey, let me throw another one out. This one really touched me. I was at a funeral a couple of weeks ago, and so I was talking to the family and just asking them about their father who had passed, and he had pancreatic cancer, and really a struggle for 3 years.
Tough one.
Yeah, I mean he had a 6-month life expectancy, and he hung in there for 3.5 years. But one of his adult daughters, and this was a very close family, they all really loved their dad. He was a great guy. Was asking, each one of them, tell me, what your dad meant to you. What are some things about your dad that, were really, you loved or were great? And she said, my dad was always present. I thought, oh man, I hope that my daughters would be able to say that about me.
Oh, they can.
Strangely enough, too, Denny, I don't know that it. My father was military, and he was rarely home as I was growing up. In fact, I was deemed the man of the house at age 11 and 10 days before my 12th birthday. And, but I always felt like he was there. I always knew that dad was just doing his job, and he was eventually coming back. It never felt like the house was vacant of a fatherly figure.
Marcus, I don't think that's a physical description. I think that's, emotional, mental, which is an awesome place to be. Absolutely. I don't think, we have to be there 24/7 to be present.
I still feel that way. I still feel like, I'm still his kid, and he's still there, he's still there, and he lives 3 states away. Forgive me for looking down at my phone, but this whole discussion has triggered me to looking up something that I knew was in Ephesians. I just couldn't tell where, but it says to be engaged in good works. And it says, for we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus unto good works, which God hath ordained that we should walk in them. So it's almost a commandment.
Absolutely. That's good.
That we've been created to do good things, not just for ourselves, but for others. And I think that's the thing that we often overlook too, is by the transitive property, we don't know on the negative or the positive side who we might affect. And when we're engaged in doing good things, other people will take notice, because they sure notice when you're not doing the right thing, don't they?
They sure do.
So I think it's in our DNA to do good for all mankind, and not just solely us or our family, but to lead out and be a good example, part of that living for something or dying for nothing.
Yeah.
I love that, Carcass.
Me too.
Carcass.
Sir?
Can Denny and I be like guests on your show?
You can be. You just need to grow a beard first.
Oh my God. Dude,
I don't know if I can, man. It would not be good.
I got to remind you that my dad grew up on an Indian reservation. I have
no facial
my face is as smooth as a baby's butt.
Well, I never thought I could either. And then I had someone who I care about so much that I thought I might as well give it a whirl, and here we are. So,
man,
you guys pretty strong there, Carcass. I wouldn't be downplaying that.
So we talked about the love of money is evil.
Sure.
Yeah.
We talked about you have to be present.
Yeah.
We talked about how success is kind and joyful people. being kind and joyful with people.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about how a successful mind is a peaceful mind.
Yep.
Reverend brought up you need to be engaged. You can't be a hermit. And then Carcass brought up do good things for all mankind. Carcass, that's like we should have a T-shirt that says that. Choices.
Well, Confucius says you help your neighbor across the stream and you'll find you're walking on the other bank too. So it's not just when we extend ourselves to others, we receive some benefit, whether directly or indirectly. And
Yeah.
And that-
I gotta go back up here to hard work.
sure.
It's successful. I mean,
I
think Denny
it's
can-
striving for excellence, right,
yeah,
Brett?
yeah.
In whatever we're
And-
doing.
And Reverend will back me up on this. No one's going to outwork me on a case. It's
Yeah.
hard work. It's hard work. And that's what I worry about our younger generation haven't reaped the benefit of hard ass work. You know what I mean? Where I'm guilty of it. I bless my kids with everything they want. My girl, just girls. What do you want? Go. I pray that they find the ability to work hard because I know their mama knows how to work hard. But people that don't work hard can't be around me. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I have a similar.
Reverend, will you back me up on that?
Yeah, I'll back
I'll
you up.
kick somebody's ass out on the street. They don't work hard. Right?
Yeah. No, I don't like that
hard-
either.
No, man, come on, man.
Slothfulness, man.
Look,
Slothfulness is a bad one.
You could talk about all this kindful, joyful, peaceful, all good things. And Dan Roby, he works his tail off.
Well,
And
something that's lost in society today, and I heard this when I was a young man training to be a missionary, a very highly respected. I love this guy, Bruce R. McConkie, said, "There is no all at once in anything, life included. You have to work and work and work, and it's an integral step. You don't go to kindergarten and get a master's degree.
No.
That takes years, and sometimes we fail, sometimes we get set back. It doesn't mean finding success doesn't mean we're not going to fail. And so I think that people need to realize that we just have to plow through it. The old adage that it's not the guy that falls down, it's the guy that falls down and doesn't get up and keep going. That is the lack of success. But there's no all at once.
And there are going to be failures. I don't care how good you are.
oh yeah, flat on the road failures.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what it takes to get you. I have a friend that has been through rehab more than a dozen times. Finally, he had a catastrophic episode where he was about to lose his kids, his house, he lost his job, and all of a sudden something snapped. And he said, "Guess what? I have to be a better person. I have to figure that out." And guess what? He has.
That's
It's
good.
been
He's
more
a
than a
miracle.
year. And I let him know about it all the time.
He's a miracle. That's good.
He is a miracle. And I honestly,
You give me him, and I'll go run through a crowd of people and win every time.
yeah.
Compared to somebody that doesn't know how to work.
Well, and
You
here,
give me a lawyer, a recovered lawyer, I'll take him any day of the week.
well, and here's the sad part. I'd known him so long that I actually didn't think that I'd ever see this day because I'd seen so many failures. I didn't have faith in him like he needed me to have faith in him. And guess what? I told him as much. But you know what? It always gets back to the point where, like you said, Brett, they have to be more afraid of the pain.
Yeah.
And guess what? He was afraid of that to the point where it made him switch gears.
Oh, yeah. Oh, dude, I've had him in my office, a CEO one time that was so drunk on Listerine, blue Listerine, the most awful smell I've ever had in my office, because that's what you drink when you're wanting to die, Listerine. But you know what? We got him sober. He's a miracle. We hear that daily. I think that is a very great example of success is sobriety.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's the ultimate. At least from the physical side of things.
Oh, spiritual too.
And that's the thing that he never had before and has interjected into his life, to Denny's point.
Yeah.
All of a sudden his focus is more spiritual than it was, I can whip this, I can have a few pops and still go to work, blah blah blah.
Oh no, man. I could tell you story after story about where people sent me. I had Learjets pick me up, fly me to Boston and get their daughter. I mean, because I had the police holding her for me. She didn't have a choice. And now she's recovered. She's got 2 kids. She's got a job. I mean, that's a whole different level of success. I'm glad we've ended the show on that, on recovery, because recovery means everything to me. I'm the founder of the Recovery Defense and Law when everybody thought I was crazy, not crazy. You give me a recovered person any day, I'll take him, because you get that obsessive compulsive behavior going the right direction. Man, it's fun to watch.
Amen.
I like ending the show that way. So the quote for success would be, the harder you work for something, the greater you'll feel when you achieve it.
Yeah, I like that.
You bet.
You like it, guys?
Yeah.
I love it.
I do too. Hard work.
That's because you've
And
earned it.
smart work too, right? Not just to work, to be working, but
hard work, smart work, efficient work.
right.
Efficient.
It's good.
Yeah. All right, guys. I love you guys. I've enjoyed this show.
Love you guys.
Yep.
You know what? I have to admit, I feel a lot of peace, because an easy way to do success would be based on money. And that's not the way it goes.
No.
The love of money is evil, man.
Well, at the end of the day, Brett, when we talked about, when you're ready to die, how do you feel about, all the money and houses and cars and records and guitars and all that stuff.
I told my kids, I took my kids out to eat when they both turned 18. I said, all right, I'm done. I started when I was 13. Y'all are starting when you're 18. You're adults. You're going to live your life the way you want it. I'm going to leave you a bunch. And you want to burn it up, you burn it up. I don't care. Just, it shouldn't be that important to you,
Yeah.
Don't put it in the box with you when you go.
No, man. I'm not going to put it in the box.
I got to tell you guys, I want to make enough money where I can go on my fishing trips.
Yeah, me too.
Oh,
River, why didn't you bring that up earlier? We got to have Red on Kevin's our screw off coach. He has to teach us how to screw off. But anyways, we got to fish.
Yeah, no, you got to do that.
I got a new hatch. I got a new hatch reel coming in the mail right now. I'm gonna put it under the tree. Yeah. All right, love you guys. Y'all have a great night.
Take care. We'll see you next time.
Bye bye.
See you.